Turn challenges into triumphs today. 9 critical lessons for success, written and published by Rich Mind Audio. Challenges are inevitable, but triumph is a choice. Life will always throw obstacles your way, but it's how you face them that determines your outcome. You see, adversity doesn't define us, our response does. And today we're going to explore how to transform your toughest battles into your greatest victories. Welcome to Turn Your Challenges into Triumphs, where we dive deep into strategies that can help you not just overcome, but thrive. Whether you're dealing with personal setbacks, professional roadblocks, or internal struggles, this audiobook will give you the tools you need to turn obstacles into stepping stones toward success. By the end of this journey, you won't just be equipped to face your challenges, you'll be ready to use them to propel yourself forward in ways you never imagined. We're going to break down 9 powerful lessons that will guide you, step by step, through a transformation from merely surviving to truly thriving. Each lesson will dive deep into actionable strategies you can apply to your life starting today. These lessons are not abstract theories, they're real-world tools grounded in psychology, personal development, and success principles. By the time we're done, you'll not only see your challenges in a new light, but you'll feel empowered to face them head-on. So, let's get started on this journey to turn your challenges into triumphs, because your story isn't about the challenges you face, it's about how you rise above them. Let's begin. Chapter 1: Shift from Victim to Victor Mindset. Imagine waking up every day feeling like life is happening to you, like no matter what you do, you're always at the mercy of circumstances beyond your control. The alarm goes off and already you're dreading the day. Maybe it's work. Maybe it's personal challenges piling up, or maybe it's just that overwhelming feeling of what's the point. You see, that's the mindset of a victim, feeling powerless, like a leaf being blown around by the wind, with no say in the direction. Let me tell you about a friend of mine, someone who used to feel exactly like that. Sarah had big dreams, but every time she tried to make progress, something seemed to pull her back. Her job wasn't going anywhere, she had financial struggles, and it felt like every door she knocked on was locked. She started thinking, why is life so unfair to me? Why can't I catch a break? It felt like the universe was against her, and she was stuck in a cycle of frustration and self-pity. But one day something clicked. She realized that while she couldn't control every situation, she could control how she responded. Instead of focusing on what wasn't working, she started focusing on what she could do. She stopped saying, "Why me?" and started asking, "What can I do about it?" That simple shift in her thinking was the spark that changed everything. She didn't get a lucky break, she created one. Sarah stopped seeing herself as a victim and chose to see herself as a victor. That's the key. It's all about the mindset. When you shift from a victim mentality to a victor's mindset, you reclaim your power. You stop waiting for someone or something to change your situation, and you start becoming the change you need. Let's break this down. The victim mindset says, this is happening to me, and there's nothing I can do. It's focused on the external, on what's going wrong, on the problems and obstacles. In this mindset, it's easy to feel overwhelmed and hopeless because you're constantly looking at what you can't control. But the victor mindset, it says, this is happening, but I can do something about it. It's focused on solutions, on action, on taking ownership of the situation. In this mindset, challenges become opportunities because you're not waiting for things to change, you're making the change happen yourself. So let's get practical. I want you to think about a challenge you're facing right now. It could be in your career, your relationships, your health, whatever it is. Picture it clearly, Des. Now ask yourself, what part of this situation can I control? What action can I take right now that could start moving things in a better direction? Maybe it's small. Maybe it's as simple as making a phone call you've been putting off, or taking one step toward a goal that's been intimidating you. But here's the thing, no matter how small it is, that one action shifts your perspective from victim to victor. Because now, instead of waiting for the world to change, you're the one making the change. When Sarah stopped waiting for the perfect conditions and took action, things didn't magically get easy overnight, but they did start to shift. She made decisions with clarity because she wasn't focusing on the obstacles anymore. She was focusing on what she could do, one step at a time. And with each step, her confidence grew. her energy shifted. Opportunities that seemed impossible before started appearing because her mindset had changed. You see, when you operate from a victor's mindset, you're not denying that challenges exist. Of course, life will still throw curveballs at you. But instead of being knocked down by them, you get back up every time, stronger and more determined. That's the power of owning your response to adversity. Now, I want to challenge you. Take a moment to reflect on the struggles in your life right now. What's weighing on you? What feels out of control? And instead of focusing on what you can't change, I want you to focus on one thing, just one thing that you can control. Maybe it's your attitude. Maybe it's a decision you've been avoiding. Maybe it's the next step you need to take. Whatever it is, commit to taking action on that today, because in that one action, you're making the shift from victim to victor. And remember, it's not about making giant leaps all at once. It's about consistently choosing to act on the things you can control, day after day. That's how you turn challenges into triumphs, one decision, one action, one victory at a time. Your challenges don't define you, your response does. The power is in your hands. The question is, will you use it? Chapter 2, Embrace Failure as Feedback. Let me ask you something. What comes to mind when you hear the word failure? Does it make you uncomfortable? Maybe it brings up memories of a time when things didn't go as planned, or when you felt like you let yourself down. But here's the thing, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the path to success. To illustrate that, let's talk about someone you've probably heard of, Steve Jobs. You see, Steve wasn't an instant success story. After co-founding Apple, the very company that would revolutionize the tech industry, he was actually fired from it. Imagine that for a second, being kicked out of the company you helped create. Most people would see that as the ultimate failure. And for a while, Steve did too. But instead of giving up, he embraced the lessons failure had to offer. He went on to found another company, NXT, and eventually Apple bought it, bringing him back into the fold. And the rest, as they say, is history. His greatest triumphs, revolutionary products like the iPhone and iPad, happened after what looked like his biggest failure. Now think about Oprah Winfrey. She was fired from her first television job as a news anchor because she was deemed unfit for TV. Can you imagine that? Oprah, one of the most influential media moguls in history, told she wasn't fit for television. But did she let that failure stop her? Not at all. She took it in stride, learned from the experience, and went on to build an empire that changed the media landscape forever. These stories teach us that failure isn't the end, it's just a beginning. So why is failure so essential for growth? Because failure teaches us lessons that success never could. When things go wrong, when we stumble, we're given a chance to reflect, adapt, and evolve. Success feels good, but it often makes us complacent. Failure, on the other hand, forces us to question, innovate, and improve. It's like a teacher that comes in disguise, one we don't necessarily want, but one we absolutely need. I want you to think of failure not as a roadblock, but as a stepping stone. Every time you fail, you're getting closer to success because you're gaining insights that you couldn't have gotten any other way. When Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, he didn't give up on his dreams. Instead, he pivoted, learned from his missteps, and came back stronger. Oprah didn't let one rejection define her. She let it refine her. You see, the problem isn't failure itself. It's how we choose to see it. Too many people view failure as a dead end, but in reality, it's a detour, a redirection toward a better path. When you shift your mindset and start seeing failure as feedback, you'll begin to see that every setback has within it the seeds of a comeback. So how do we do that? How do we begin to view failure as something that can help us rather than something to be feared? It starts by asking yourself one powerful question whenever you fail. What can I learn from this? Instead of letting the failure consume you, step back and reflect. What went wrong? What could you do differently next time? What is this experience teaching you about yourself, about the situation, or about the people around you? Remember, failure isn't fatal. It's a feedback loop, and the more you learn from it, the closer you get to achieving your goals. And here's the best part. When you stop fearing failure, You stop holding yourself back. You'll take more risks, step out of your comfort zone, and try things you never thought you'd have the courage to do. That's where true growth happens, in the space where you're willing to fail, learn, and keep moving forward. Now, I want to turn this over to you. Take a moment to think about your greatest failure. Maybe it's something recent, or maybe it's something from years ago that still lingers in your mind. Whatever it is, don't just push it away. Instead, look at it head on and ask yourself, what did this failure teach me? How did it shape who you are today? How can you use the lessons from that experience to move forward stronger and wiser than before? I know it's not always easy. Failure can sting, it can feel personal. But the truth is, failure is universal. Every person who has ever succeeded has failed along the way. What makes the difference is how you respond to that failure. Will you let it define you, or will you let it propel you? Here's the bottom line. Failure is not something to be feared. It's something to be embraced. It's part of your journey, and it's a necessary part of your growth. When you learn to see failure as feedback, you'll find that your path to success becomes clearer and more attainable. You'll stop letting fear hold you back, and you'll start seeing every stumble as a step forward. So the next time you face failure, and trust me, don't shy away from it. Don't beat yourself up over it. Instead, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? And then, with that knowledge, move forward with confidence. Because remember, success isn't about never failing. It's about learning, growing, and continuing the journey in spite of it. Failure is part of your success story, not the end of it. Chapter 3: Practice Emotional Agility. Let me tell you a story about a high-pressure situation, one that many of you might recognize. Picture an Olympic athlete standing at the starting line of the biggest race of their life. The world is watching, expectations are high, and in that moment, every single thought, every ounce of emotion is rushing through them like a tidal wave. They can feel the weight of years of training, the pressure to succeed, and the fear of failure all bubbling up. The stakes are enormous. Now, let's look at how an athlete like Serena Williams handles moments like these. Serena, a legend in the world of tennis, has faced countless high-pressure situations throughout her career. She's known for her incredible mental toughness, but that didn't come naturally. It came from practicing emotional agility. When she's down in a match, when the crowd is roaring, and the pressure is at its peak, she doesn't let her emotions control her. Instead, she acknowledges them. She feels the frustration, the fear, but she doesn't react impulsively. She stays calm, recalibrates, and intentionally chooses her next move. In these moments, it's not just her physical ability on display, it's her mental strength and her emotional agility that allow her to push through and come out on top. You see, emotional agility is the ability to navigate your emotions in a way that doesn't derail you. It's about being able to step back, acknowledge what you're feeling, and then respond with intention, rather than reacting out of impulse. It's crucial because in life, we all face high-pressure situations. Maybe it's a big presentation at work, a relationship conflict, or a personal goal that feels overwhelming. In these moments, emotions like stress, fear, and frustration can easily take over, clouding our judgment and pushing us to act in ways we regret later. But here's the thing, emotions are not the enemy. They are signals, and they carry valuable information. Emotional agility doesn't mean suppressing or ignoring your feelings. It means learning to work with them, rather than being controlled by them. When you master this skill, you gain clarity, focus, and the ability to make decisions that are aligned with your long-term goals rather than your short-term feelings. So how do you practice emotional agility? It starts with acknowledging your emotions. Often when we're in high-pressure situations, our instinct is to push our feelings aside or pretend they don't exist. But that only gives them more power. Instead, take a moment to name what you're feeling. Are you anxious, angry, overwhelmed? By identifying the emotion, you take the first step toward gaining control over it. Next, you want to create some space between your emotions and your actions. Let's say you're feeling anxious about an upcoming deadline. Instead of letting that anxiety push you into a spiral of stress and frantic work, pause, take a deep breath. Remind yourself that this feeling is just a temporary reaction, not a permanent reality. Ask yourself, what is this emotion telling me? What can I do about it? This creates the space you need to respond intentionally. This brings me to the third step. Choose your response. Emotional agility is all about choice. When you're under pressure, your emotions will try to dictate your actions, but you don't have to let them. Once you've acknowledged how you feel and created some space, you can choose how you want to respond. This might mean deciding to tackle the most urgent part of the project first, or it might mean taking a short break to clear your head. The key is to respond in a way that aligns with your goals, rather than reacting impulsively to the pressure. Now, I want to guide you through a simple emotional self-check exercise that you can use in your everyday life. Whenever you find yourself feeling overwhelmed by your emotions, stop and ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. What am I feeling right now? Name the emotion without judgment. Are you angry, stressed, excited, or nervous? 2. Why am I feeling this way? Identify the trigger. What's causing these emotions? Is it a specific situation, a person, or maybe something you're telling yourself? 3. What can I control in this moment? This is the most empowering question of all. While you can't control every circumstance, you can always control how you respond. Let's say you're in the middle of a heated argument. Instead of reacting with anger, pause and ask yourself these questions. You might realize that your anger is triggered by feeling misunderstood. Once you identify that, you can choose to respond by calmly explaining your perspective, rather than lashing out. This process may seem simple, but it's incredibly powerful. When you practice this regularly, you start to develop emotional agility. You become someone who can navigate life's pressures with grace and clarity, rather than being tossed around by your emotions. And the best part, when you master your emotions, you begin to master your life. You're no longer at the mercy of every high and low, every frustration or setback. Instead, you become the one in control. You become the person who can stay calm under pressure, who can adapt to challenges with resilience, and who can make decisions that are rooted in wisdom rather than emotion. Remember, emotional agility isn't about being emotionless, it's about being empowered. It's about using your emotions as a tool to guide you, rather than letting them lead you off course. So the next time you find yourself in a high-pressure situation, I want you to pause and remember this: your emotions are valid, but they are not in charge. You are. And with that understanding, you can face any challenge with confidence and clarity. Mastering your emotions is mastering your life. Because when you can choose your response, you can choose your outcome. Chapter 4. Develop a growth-oriented perspective. Imagine this for a moment. You've just faced a huge setback. You've been told no by investors, your business idea has flopped, or maybe your project has failed miserably. Most people would be crushed, but not Elon Musk. In fact, Musk has faced these kinds of setbacks time and time again, and yet he keeps pushing forward. What sets him apart? It's not just his genius, it's his mindset. You see, Elon Musk approaches every challenge, every failure with a growth-oriented perspective. When SpaceX had a series of failed launches, Musk didn't see those failures as a reason to give up. He saw them as lessons. Each failed launch wasn't an end, but rather a beginning and opportunity to refine the process, learn from mistakes, and get one step closer to success. And now, SpaceX has revolutionized the space industry. That's the power of a growth mindset. When you develop a growth-oriented perspective, you shift the way you see challenges. Instead of viewing them as roadblocks, you begin to see them as stepping stones, necessary steps in your journey toward growth and success. And here's the magic. This shift in perspective transforms every obstacle into an opportunity for self-development. But what does this actually mean for you? Let's break it down. A growth mindset is the belief that your abilities, intelligence, and talents can be developed over time through hard work, perseverance, and learning from experience. It's about embracing challenges as opportunities to grow, not as proof of your limitations. In contrast, a fixed mindset leads you to believe that your talents are set in stone, and any failure is a reflection of your lack of ability. With a fixed mindset, you avoid challenges, give up easily, and feel threatened by the success of others. But with a growth mindset, you're always learning, always evolving, and always open to improving. Think about this for a second. Every challenge you face has the potential to help you become better. That difficult project at work, it's teaching you resilience. That strained relationship, it's teaching you communication and empathy. That failed business idea, it's showing you how to pivot and innovate. These aren't just challenges, they are teachers. The first step to developing a growth-oriented perspective is recognizing that every obstacle holds within it the seed of growth. When you start to see problems as opportunities, you change the way you approach life. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and instead start asking, "What can I learn from this?" That simple shift in perspective can change everything. Now let's talk about practical ways to cultivate a growth mindset. Here are 3 key strategies. 1. Embrace failure as a learning opportunity. We've already talked about how Elon Musk treats failure as a stepping stone. You can do the same in your own life. The next time you fail, don't let it define you. Instead, ask yourself, what went wrong? What can I learn from this experience? Failure isn't final. It's a lesson. And when you approach failure with curiosity instead of fear, you'll be amazed at how quickly you start to grow. 2. Seek out challenges. People with a growth mindset don't shy away from challenges, they seek them out. Why? Because they understand that growth happens when you're outside your comfort zone. When you challenge yourself, whether it's learning a new skill, taking on a difficult task, or pushing yourself physically, you're expanding your capabilities. So I challenge you, what's something you've been avoiding because it seems too difficult? Take it on. That's where your growth lies. 3. Cultivate a love for learning. Aim. A growth mindset isn't just about facing challenges, it's about becoming a lifelong learner. People with a growth mindset are always hungry for knowledge. They read books, listen to podcasts, attend seminars, and constantly seek new information that will help them grow. You can do the same. Commit to learning something new every day, whether it's a skill, a new perspective, or a lesson from someone else's experience. The more you learn, the more you grow. Now, let's take a moment for reflection. I want you to think about a recent challenge you faced. Maybe it was something at work, in your personal life, or a project you've been working on. Take a deep breath and ask yourself this question: how can this challenge help me grow? What lesson is hidden within that struggle? How can you take what you've learned and apply it to become better, stronger, more capable? Maybe that challenge is teaching you patience. Maybe it's showing you the importance of preparation, or perhaps it's revealing something about yourself that you didn't realize before. Whatever the lesson is, embrace it. Don't run from the challenge. Run toward it. Here's the truth: every single person who has ever achieved great things has faced immense challenges. What separates those who succeed from those who give up isn't talent, luck, or intelligence, it's mindset. Those who succeed are the ones who keep going, who keep learning, and who keep growing in the face of adversity. So as you move forward in your journey, remember this: your challenges are not there to stop you. They're there to help you grow. Each one is an opportunity to become more resilient, more knowledgeable, and more capable. You are not defined by your challenges, you are defined by how you rise above them. And when you adopt a growth-oriented perspective, there's nothing that can hold you back. Every obstacle becomes fuel for your progress. Every failure becomes a lesson in success, and every challenge becomes a stepping stone to the person you're meant to be. So the next time you find yourself in a tough situation, ask yourself, how can this help me grow? And then with that perspective, tackle it head on. Because with a growth mindset, no challenge is too great and no obstacle is too difficult to overcome. Remember, growth isn't something that just happens to you. It's something you create. It's a choice. And today you have the power to make that choice. Chapter 5. Break problems into bite-sized pieces. Let me tell you a story. Imagine standing at the base of a massive mountain. You look up and the peak is so high, so far, that it almost disappears into the clouds. You want to get to the top, but the thought of climbing that entire mountain feels overwhelming. Where do you even begin? The sheer size of the task makes you question whether you should even try. This is how life's biggest challenges can feel, sometimes like mountains too big to climb. But here's the thing: no one reaches the summit in a single leap. Every mountain is climbed one step at a time. Every journey is taken one foot in front of the other. It's the same in life, whether you're building a business, working toward a personal goal, or trying to overcome a tough situation. The key is to break it down into bite-sized pieces. Take J.K. Rowling, for example. When she started writing the Harry Potter series, she was a single mother living on government assistance. Writing a best-selling series wasn't even on her radar. She just focused on getting through one chapter, one page, one paragraph at a time. By breaking her massive dream down into small, manageable tasks, she went from writing in cafes to creating one of the most successful book series of all time. She didn't let the enormity of the task overwhelm her. She just took it step by step, brick by brick. That's the first lesson today. You don't need to tackle everything at once. In fact, trying to do so will leave you feeling paralyzed and stuck. The secret to success, the secret to overcoming overwhelming challenges, is to break them down into small, actionable steps. You don't need to solve the entire problem in one go. You just need to make progress one step at a time. Think about it. Have you ever been overwhelmed by a project, a goal, or even a personal challenge? Maybe it felt so big that you didn't know where to start. That's natural. But here's what you can do. Break that massive challenge into smaller, bite-sized pieces. When you focus on the next step rather than the entire journey, everything becomes more manageable. Let's take this principle into a practical example. Imagine you want to run a marathon, but you've never even run a mile. The thought of running 26.2 miles is intimidating, right? But what if instead of focusing on the entire marathon, you started with just running 1 mile? And then, once you're comfortable with that, you add another mile and another. Over time, those small steps add up, and before you know it, you're crossing the finish line. The same strategy applies to any goal or challenge. Break it down into smaller pieces that feel achievable. If you're starting a new business, don't focus on building an empire overnight. Start with your first client, your first sale, your first piece of marketing. If you're tackling a personal project, don't try to do everything at once. Focus on what you can accomplish today and let tomorrow take care of itself. The beauty of this approach is that it builds momentum. Each small victory propels you forward. Each completed step gives you the confidence to tackle the next one. And before you know it, those small steps have led you a long way. Here are some practical tips on how you can apply this strategy to any challenge in your life. 1. Identify the big goal or challenge. Start by clearly identifying what it is you want to achieve or overcome. Whether it's a professional goal, a personal project, or an obstacle in your life, define it. 2. Break it down into smaller steps. Once you know what the big goal is, break it down into smaller, manageable tasks. Ask yourself, what's the very first step I can take? What's the smallest action I can do today to move toward this goal? It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be a step in the right direction. 3. Prioritize the steps. Not all steps are created equal. Some tasks will move you forward faster than others. Prioritize the tasks that will have the most significant impact on your progress. Focus on the steps that will get you the momentum you need. 4. Take consistent action. Success isn't about taking massive action once in a while. It's about taking consistent action over time. Commit to taking one small step every day, even if it feels like a tiny step. It all adds up. 5. Celebrate the small wins. Don't wait until you reach the summit to celebrate. Every step, every small victory is worth acknowledging. Celebrate the progress you're making along the way and use that energy to keep going. Now let's make this personal. I want you to think about a challenge you're facing right now. Maybe it's a big project at work, a personal goal you've been putting off, or something in your life that feels overwhelming. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, how can I break this down into smaller, bite-sized pieces? What's the first step you can take? What's the smallest, most manageable action you can do today to start making progress? Maybe it's sending an email, making a phone call, or doing a bit of research. Whatever it is, focus on that first step and let the rest of the journey unfold. You don't need to have all the answers right now. You just need to take that next step. The mountain may be tall, but the climb is possible when you take it one step at a time. And when you do, you'll find that each step builds your confidence, strengthens your resolve, and brings you closer to your goal. Remember, no one builds success overnight. No one solves a problem all at once. Every big achievement, every breakthrough, is the result of countless small steps. So today, take that first step, and tomorrow, take the next one. Before you know it, you'll look back and realize just how far you've come. The journey to success is made of bite-sized pieces, one step at a time, one decision at a time, one small action at a time. That's how mountains are climbed, and that's how your challenges will be overcome. Chapter 6: Seek support and collaborate. Let me tell you a story that shows the incredible power of collaboration and asking for help. Some of you may have heard of Howard Schultz, the man who built Starbucks into a global empire. But did you know that in the early days, Schultz faced a huge challenge? He had a vision of transforming Starbucks from just a coffee bean seller into the cafe experience we know today, but he didn't have the funding to make it happen. After being turned down by bank after bank, things were looking bleak. He could have given up right there, but instead, he reached out for help. Schultz approached investors, partners, and mentors. He didn't try to go it alone. He didn't let his pride stop him from asking for the support he needed. Through those collaborations and the guidance he received, he was able to raise the capital that would change everything. And today, Starbucks is not just a coffee shop, but a global phenomenon. None of that would have been possible if Schultz had tried to do it all on his own. That's the first lesson in today's topic. Don't be afraid to seek support. You see, asking for help doesn't make you weak, it makes you stronger. When we collaborate with others, we unlock potential that we wouldn't have on our own. There's a reason why so many successful businesses, projects, and even personal achievements are built on teamwork and collaboration. None of us are meant to go through life solo. We're wired for connection, for learning from one another, and for helping each other rise. Yet so many of us hesitate to ask for help. Why? Well, let's talk about that. One of the most common fears when it comes to seeking support is the fear of being seen as incapable or weak. We worry that by asking for help, we're admitting we can't handle it ourselves. But here's the truth: nobody achieves great things alone. Every successful person has had mentors, friends, colleagues, or even competitors that helped them along the way. The most accomplished leaders know that their strength lies in the people they surround themselves with. Take a moment to think about it. Do you avoid asking for help because you're afraid of what others will think? Or maybe you don't want to burden anyone with your problems. These thoughts are natural, but they can hold you back from reaching your full potential. The second fear is often about pride. We think, I should be able to handle this on my own. But the reality is, no one expects you to do it all alone. In fact, some of the most fulfilling successes come from working with others, pooling resources and leveraging the strengths of those around you. It's a powerful feeling to realize that you don't have to bear the weight of everything yourself. And when you reach out for help, you give others the opportunity to contribute, to feel valued, and to grow with you. Now, let's talk about how to overcome these fears and take action. The first step is to shift your mindset. Instead of seeing asking for help as a weakness, view it as a strength, a smart move. Think of it this way: would you look down on someone who asked you for help? Of course not. You'd probably feel honored to support them. So why would you think that others would look down on you for doing the same? The second step is to get specific about what kind of support you need. Do you need advice, resources, emotional support, or perhaps someone to collaborate with? When you know exactly what you need, it becomes easier to reach out and make a clear request. And the third step, just take that leap. Pick up the phone, send the email, schedule the coffee meeting, and ask. It might feel uncomfortable at first, but you'll be amazed at how willing people are to lend a hand. The people who care about you, who respect your vision, they want to help. Sometimes they're just waiting for you to ask. Now, I want you to reflect for a moment. Think about a challenge you're facing in your life right now. Maybe it's something at work. Maybe it's a personal goal, or even something in your relationships. Now ask yourself, who could I reach out to for support? It could be a mentor, a colleague, a friend, or even a family member. Whoever it is, there's someone out there who has the wisdom, resources, or perspective that could make your challenge easier to tackle. Remember, no mountain is climbed alone. No great idea is brought to life in isolation. Every success story has a team of people behind it, even if it's just one or two key supporters. So don't let fear or pride stop you from asking for help. Collaboration is not just a tool, it's a superpower. It can turn what feels like an impossible challenge into a winnable opportunity. Today, take that bold step. Reach out to someone who can help you, whether it's to brainstorm ideas, provide guidance, or even just listen. You'll be surprised at how much further you can go when you have someone walking beside you. So who are you going to call on for support? Who can you collaborate with to turn your challenge into a success? Don't wait. Reach out today, because together we're always stronger. Chapter 7: Turn setbacks into setups. Let me share a story about someone whose life is a perfect example of turning setbacks into setups for something greater. You've probably heard of J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, but you might not know just how many setbacks she faced before becoming the world-renowned author she is today. At one point in her life, J.K. Rowling was a single mother, struggling to make ends meet. She had been fired from her job, was living on welfare, and to top it off, had just gone through a divorce. In her own words, she said she had failed on an epic scale. But during that dark time, she made a decision: she was going to pursue her passion for writing. And even though her manuscript for Harry Potter was rejected by 12 publishers, she didn't give up. She kept going, kept believing, and eventually her story got picked up by a small publisher. And say shop release in emotion. The rest, as we know, is history. Her setback wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something much bigger. That's the power of reframing setbacks. What felt like rock bottom for J.K. Rowling was actually the launchpad for her greatest success. And the truth is, setbacks are inevitable. Whether it's a failed business venture, a relationship that didn't work out, or a missed opportunity, we all face moments when things don't go the way we planned. But here's the key. It's not about avoiding setbacks, it's about how you respond to them. You can either let them hold you back, or you can turn them into setups for something greater. Let's break this down. First, it's essential to understand that setbacks don't define you. They are a moment in time, not the final chapter of your story. Too often, we let setbacks become barriers. We get stuck in the mindset that because something went wrong, it's a sign that we should quit, that we're not good enough, or that success just isn't meant for us. But what if, instead of seeing a setback as an ending, you saw it as the beginning of a new opportunity? Here's the shift in perspective I want you to make. Setbacks are setups in disguise. They're life's way of redirecting you, teaching you, and preparing you for something greater. Just like J.K. Rowling had to face rejection after rejection before her breakthrough. Your setbacks are often just stepping stones to something bigger. Now, I know what you're thinking when you're in the middle of a setback. It doesn't feel like a setup. It feels frustrating, disheartening, maybe even hopeless. So how do you reframe a setback when it feels like everything is falling apart? First, embrace the lesson. Every setback carries within it a lesson that, if learned, will help you grow and succeed in the future. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Maybe it's about resilience. Maybe it's about refining your strategy. Or maybe it's a signal that you're being redirected towards something better. The lesson is there, but it's up to you to find it. Second, maintain optimism. I'm not talking about blind optimism or pretending everything is perfect. I'm talking about grounded optimism, the kind that says, this setback is tough, but I believe in my ability to turn it around. Optimism gives you the energy to keep going, even when things don't go as planned. It's what keeps you focused on the bigger picture instead of getting lost in the temporary pain of the moment. Next, focus on what you can control. One of the most frustrating parts of a setback is that it can make you feel powerless, like everything is out of your control. But even in the toughest setbacks, there's always something you can control. Maybe it's your attitude, your next move, or how you choose to learn from the experience. When you focus on what's within your control, you take back your power. Here's a practical strategy I want you to try. Whenever you face a setback, break it down into two categories: what you can't control and what you can. Spend zero time worrying about the things outside your control and double down on the things you can influence. This will not only help you stay focused, but also empower you to take action even when the road ahead seems unclear. Finally, let's talk about persistence. Turning a setback into a setup for success isn't always instant. It takes time, effort, and determination. You might not see the payoff right away, but that doesn't mean it's not coming. Keep pushing forward, keep refining your approach, and most importantly, keep believing in your ability to turn things around. Success doesn't come to those who avoid setbacks, it comes to those who turn them into comebacks. Now, I want to take a moment for reflection. Think about a setback you're experiencing right now. Maybe it's in your career, your relationships, your health, or a personal goal. Whatever it is, I want you to pause and ask yourself, how can this setback be a setup for something greater? What's the lesson hidden in this challenge? How can you use this experience to fuel your growth, to become better, stronger, and more resilient? Take a deep breath and remember that setbacks are part of the journey, not the end of it. Just like J.K. Rowling, you have the power to turn your challenges into opportunities. Your setbacks are preparing you for a breakthrough. Don't lose sight of that. So as you move forward, I encourage you to reframe every setback you face. Instead of seeing it as an obstacle, see it as an opportunity. Instead of letting it defeat you, let it drive you. You are stronger than any setback that comes your way, and the moment you choose to see your challenges as setups for something greater, everything changes. Remember this, the path to success is not a straight line. It's filled with twists, turns, setbacks, and breakthroughs. But if you stay focused, stay optimistic, and keep moving forward, your setbacks will become the foundation for your greatest successes. What setback are you experiencing right now? And more importantly, how are you going to reframe it as a setup for something bigger? It's time to make that shift because the story isn't over yet and the best part is still to come. Chapter 8, Cultivate Resilience Through Self-Care. Let me share a story about someone you might know. Arianna Huffington, the founder of the Huffington Post, was one of the most successful women in media. She was at the top of her game, pushing herself harder and harder every day, working late into the night, striving for success. But one day her body gave out. She collapsed in her office from exhaustion, hitting her head on her desk and waking up in a pool of her own blood. It was a wake-up call that changed everything for her. Arianna had been so focused on her work, on achieving her goals, that she had neglected the most important thing, her own well-being. It wasn't until she hit rock bottom that she realized something had to change. She began prioritizing self-care, building healthy habits, and protecting her mental and physical health. That decision not only saved her life, but also allowed her to become more resilient, more focused, and only more successful in the long run. You see, we live in a world that glorifies hustle and grind. We push ourselves to the limit, thinking that more hours, more effort, and more sacrifices will bring us closer to success. But here's the truth: you cannot pour from an empty cup. If you're running on fumes, if you're neglecting your health, both mental and physical, you're setting yourself up for burnout. And burnout doesn't just slow you down, it can take you out of the game completely. Self-care isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It's the foundation of resilience. Without it, even the strongest of us will eventually break under pressure. But with it, you build the stamina to face life's challenges with energy, focus, and strength. So how does self-care help build resilience? Let's break it down. First, self-care replenishes your energy. Think of yourself as a battery. Every task, every responsibility, every challenge you face drains that battery bit by bit. If you don't take the time to recharge, eventually you're going to run out of power. But when you practice regular self-care, whether it's through rest, relaxation, or activities that bring you joy, you recharge that battery. You give yourself the energy you need to keep going, even when times get tough. Second, self-care strengthens your mental resilience. Life throws curveballs at us all the time. And if your mind is constantly overwhelmed and stressed, it's hard to handle those challenges with clarity and focus. But when you take time to care for your mental well-being through mindfulness, meditation, or simply giving yourself moments of peace, you build the mental stamina to stay grounded when everything around you feels chaotic. Finally, self-care boosts your physical resilience. We often forget that our bodies and minds are deeply connected. When you neglect your physical health, your mental health suffers too. Regular exercise, proper nutrition, and getting enough sleep are critical for keeping your body in peak condition which in turn helps you handle stress and bounce back faster from setbacks. Now, let's talk about some actionable self-care practices that you can start incorporating into your daily routine. Create a morning routine. How you start your day sets the tone for the rest of it. A simple morning routine that includes stretching, meditation, or even just 10 minutes of quiet time with a cup of coffee can make all the difference. This is your time to center yourself, to prepare mentally for the day ahead. Protect it. 2. Practice mindfulness. Take a few moments each day to slow down and be present. Whether it's through deep breathing, a short meditation session, or simply stepping outside and noticing the world around you, mindfulness helps you clear your mind and reduces stress. 3. Move your body. Exercise is one of the best ways to recharge your physical and mental energy. You don't have to run marathons or spend hours at the gym. A simple walk, yoga session, or dance workout can do wonders. The key is consistency. Find a form of movement that you enjoy and make it a regular part of your routine. 4. Prioritize rest. Sleep is non-negotiable. It's during rest that your body repairs itself, your mind processes the day's events, and you recharge for tomorrow. If you've been sacrificing sleep to get more done, I'm here to tell you that it's not worth it. You'll be far more productive, creative, and resilient if you're well rested. 5. Set boundaries. This is a big one. Learning to say no and protect your time is one of the most important self-care practices. You can't be everything to everyone. Prioritize what truly matters and don't be afraid to set boundaries to protect your peace and well-being. Now, I want to invite you to take a moment to reflect. Think about your current self-care habits. Are you prioritizing your well-being, or are you putting it on the back burner while you chase your goals? Are you recharging your battery regularly, or are you running on empty? Here's my challenge for you. Make one positive change today. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe it's going to bed 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it's taking a short walk during your lunch break. Maybe it's setting aside 10 minutes for quiet reflection. Whatever it is, commit to doing something that nurtures your mind, body, or soul. Because when you take care of yourself, you build the resilience you need to take care of everything else. Remember, success isn't about how hard you can push yourself. It's about how well you can take care of yourself along the way. Self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. It's what allows you to keep going, to stay strong, and to bounce back when life gets tough. So what's that one thing you're going to do today to prioritize your well-being? Whatever it is, make the commitment now. Your future self will thank you for it. Chapter 9, Create a Vision Beyond the Challenge. Let's talk about the power of vision, about how a clear, compelling picture of the future can carry you through even the toughest challenges. To illustrate this, I want to share the story of one of the most inspiring figures in history, Nelson Mandela. As many of you know, Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, unjustly jailed for fighting against apartheid in South Africa. I think about that for a moment, minus 27 years behind bars. It would have been easy for him to give in to despair, to lose hope, and to let his circumstances define him. But that's not what he did. Why? Because Mandela had a vision that extended far beyond those prison walls. He could see a future where apartheid was dismantled, where freedom and equality were the law of the land, and where he as a free man would lead his people to justice. It was this vision that sustained him through years of isolation, hard labor, and unimaginable hardship. He kept his focus not on the day-to-day struggles of imprisonment, but on the larger picture, on the world he was determined to help create. And because of that vision, when he was finally released from prison, he emerged not with bitterness, but with the strength and clarity to unite a divided nation. That's the power of having a vision beyond your current challenges. It gives you something to hold on to when everything else seems to be falling apart. It keeps you motivated, focused, and moving forward even when the road is hard. Now, you may not be facing the same kind of struggle Mandela did, but we all go through tough times. Maybe you're dealing with a financial setback, a personal loss, or a professional challenge that feels insurmountable. In those moments, it's easy to get lost in the problem. But when you have a vision, when you can see beyond the difficulty to a brighter future, you give yourself something to work toward. You give yourself hope. So why is having a vision so crucial during challenging times? For one, it helps you stay motivated. When you're in the thick of a struggle, it can feel like you're stuck, like you're going nowhere. But when you have a vision of where you're headed, you can remind yourself that this moment is temporary. The challenge isn't the end, it's just part of the journey toward your bigger goal. Second, a vision gives you focus. It helps you make decisions based on where you want to go, not where you currently are. You're less likely to get derailed by distractions or temporary setbacks because you have a clear destination in mind. Like a compass guiding you through a storm, your vision keeps you moving in the right direction. So how do you create a personal vision, especially when you're facing tough challenges? Let's start with a few practical tips. 1. Get clear on what you want. Take some time to think about what you truly want for your life beyond the current challenges you're facing. What kind of future do you want to create? What's your dream? Don't worry about how you're going to get there right now. Just focus on what you want your life to look like on the other side of this challenge. 2. Write it down. There's power in putting your vision on paper. Writing it down makes it more tangible, more real. Describe your ideal life in detail, where you're living, what you're doing, how you're feeling. The more specific you can be, the better. This written vision becomes your roadmap for the future. 3. Break it down. Once you've created your vision, break it down into smaller, actionable steps. What are the milestones along the way? What's one thing you can do today to move closer to that vision? Having small, achievable goals will help you stay motivated and give you a sense of progress, even when the bigger picture seems far away. 4. Visualize it daily. This is a powerful tool that many successful people use: daily visualization. Take a few minutes each day to close your eyes and picture yourself living that vision. Imagine what it feels like, what it looks like, and how proud and fulfilled you'll be when you achieve it. This practice not only keeps your vision top of mind, but it also trains your brain to focus on the positive, on the future you're creating. Now, I want to take you through a brief visualization exercise. It's simple but incredibly effective. Wherever you are, just get comfortable, close your eyes, and take a deep breath. Imagine yourself 1 year from now. You've overcome your biggest challenge. The obstacle that's been weighing on you, it's behind you. Picture it clearly. What does your life look like? Where are you? Who's with you? What are you doing? How does it feel to have triumphed over this challenge? Feel the pride in knowing that you didn't give up, that you stayed strong, that you kept moving forward even when things were tough. Breathe in that sense of accomplishment, that sense of peace and success. Now, think about the steps you took to get there. What were the small, consistent actions that helped you overcome the challenge? What decisions did you make that brought you closer to your vision? Hold on to that feeling for a moment. This is your future. This is what you're working toward, no matter what the current situation looks like. Now, slowly open your eyes and take that vision with you. Let it guide you, let it fuel you, and let it remind you that no matter how tough things get, there is a brighter future ahead. You see, creating a vision isn't just about dreaming big. It's about giving yourself direction, purpose, and hope. It's about staying connected to the bigger picture, even when the present feels difficult. Your vision is your anchor. It's what will keep you grounded and focused as you navigate life's challenges. So as you go forward today, I want you to hold on to that vision. Take a few moments every day to remind yourself of where you're headed. And when the road gets tough, when challenges arise, and when you feel like giving up, come back to that vision. Let it pull you forward step by step until you reach the future you've been working toward. Remember, the challenges you face now are just a part of your journey. They don't define you, they're shaping you for what's next. And with a clear vision, there's nothing you can't overcome. Conclusion. And as we come to the end of this journey, let's take a moment to recap the 9 powerful lessons we've covered. First, we explored how to shift from a victim to a victor mindset, because your response to challenges is what defines you. Next, we learned to embrace failure as feedback, understanding that every setback is a step toward growth. We talked about practicing emotional agility, mastering your emotions so you can master your life. Then we discussed developing a growth-oriented perspective, seeing every challenge as an opportunity to evolve. We also dove into breaking problems into bite-sized pieces, because success isn't about giant leaps but consistent small steps. We explored the power of seeking support and collaboration, recognizing that we don't have to face challenges alone. We reframed setbacks as setups, reminding ourselves that obstacles are often opportunities in disguise. And finally, we talked about cultivating resilience through self-care and the importance of creating a vision beyond the challenge to stay focused and motivated through tough times. Challenges are a natural part of life, they're inevitable. But what's important is that triumph is a mindset and a choice, that you have the power to take what life throws at you and turn it into something extraordinary. Remember, you are stronger than your challenges. You've already made it through tough days and you'll keep making it through, no matter what. So here's my challenge for you. Apply these lessons starting today. Take action. Whether it's reframing a setback, breaking down a problem into manageable steps, or creating a clear vision for your future, put these principles into practice. Your future self will thank you for it. If you found value in these lessons, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more empowering content on success, personal development, and overcoming life's challenges. Together we'll keep growing, keep learning, and keep turning challenges into triumphs. Thank you for being on this journey with me.